Hello everyone, welcome to the Circular Economy Challenges and Opportunities podcast. I'm your host Maerhaba Yishake. Today's episode is called Shifting Mindsets for a Circular Future. We often talk about circular economy in terms of innovation, business models, and systems change. But many of the biggest barriers are not technical, they are about the mindset. Today, I'm joined by Ilse van den Berckt from UCLL and CIMIO, University College Leuven-Limburg. We got to know each other through UDRES, Center of Excellence in Business Modeling. So for the audience who doesn't know what UDRES is a European University Alliance that connects universities and regions to work on real-world challenges like sustainability and innovation. We're also joined by Mariam Ioseliani, one of my students. Mariam, would you like to add something to that introduction?
Yeah, so I'm Mariam and I'm originally from Ireland. I'm here in Saxion for an exchange program. And yeah, I've had a great time studying here, learning a new culture.
How's your experience in the Netherlands so far?
I really enjoyed it so far and I'm definitely planning on coming back.
Thank you very much. And Ilse, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
About myself or maybe about UCLL?
Maybe, yeah.
Both, yes.
Also CIMIO.
Also CIMIO, yes. I think UCLL, the Department of Business, is quite similar to Saxion. A little bit more Belgian, of course, but the courses are very similar. But CIMIO is a little bit special in UCLL because it's part of the Smart Organizations Research Cell, but we are very specifically doing research on social innovation, entrepreneurial innovation and impact, societal impact.
Sounds good. Before we go into systems and economics, I'd like to start a bit more personally. You once described your thinking around economics using a beautiful metaphor, using books, wine and chocolate. Can you tell us a little bit about what books, wine and chocolate mean to you?
Sure. Actually, these are metaphors that describe a little bit how I think, how I structure the reality. And they are coming from a workshop on entrepreneurship given by a Dutch guy, Max Herald, who also wrote a book on entrepreneurship. And for the book, he was interviewing and modeling Dutch entrepreneurs, how they became an entrepreneur. And one of his statements is, if you can define at least 2 talents, you can start a business. So I was in the workshop and there was an exercise, it's also in the book. It's really a nice exercise, especially for young people. And it's about, quote, unquote, small meditation where you're guided through your life, and afterwards you have to do a kind of automatic writing and write as much words that popping up on a piece of paper, and then next you are clustering them. Mm-hmm. And for me, I had 2 big clusters and I named them books and wine. And books is about enlarging our way of thinking, our mindset. You see it coming. And the wine is because our mindset and the paradigms, it's not enough to explain everything. And it's more the quality of life. Think of arts and poetry, that's wine. And then
the
chocolate came years later when I read a book about Tony Chocolonely. And then I understood you can have a good quality of perception, you can have good connection with everything, you can have a lot of ideas, you can have a lot of knowledge, but when you don't put them into practice, it's nothing.
Yeah. So it's like a mission or something you want to change in the world. Can I see it like that, the chocolate?
The chocolate is making impact.
Exactly,
because when I like to research, that's why I'm a researcher. But after a while, when I know enough, I get a little bit restless if I can't turn it into action and make impact.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have something to add to that? Chocolate, books and wine?
I really like that, actually. I really like that way of thinking. I think I might come up with my own kind of metaphors as well. It's a good one.
Yeah. Especially if you link that to your personal development, right? You start with improving yourself, improving who you are, and then it comes to that part. You also have to enjoy life.
Yes,
Yeah, you
indeed.
also have to have taste, identify yourself in the world, and then you have the mission you want to accomplish in this world, the impact you want to create. So I really like those metaphors. Along with this question, which book has had the most impact on you, Ilse? Is there a book you can mention you want to share with us?
Yeah, when I think about book, wine, and chocolate, for me, it has to do with systems of thinking, because enlarging the mindset, etc. It's also the change from linear thinking to system thinking. And I was born as a system thinker, and sometimes I felt a little bit lost in the world. So one of the first well-known books on system thinking, maybe it's not the best book on systems thinking, but it was The Fifth Discipline from Peter Senge, because the fifth discipline is systems thinking. So I felt recognized at that moment.
The Fifth Discipline.
A fifth discipline from Peter Senge. I think it's a book from the 1990 or 1993. It has been for 20 years in the top 15 or even the top 5 of the best management books. But now you're 26.
You said you're born with the concept of systems thinking.
Yes.
And then when did you first realize, like, the economics, how we operate in this world is also about meaning and values and about systems? Is there a specific moment you can mention?
I think several. First of all, the reason why I chose to study economics was because it was classified at that moment at the University of Leuven under the social sciences. So
Really?
Really, yeah. But when I was studying, it was a time that were trying to make economics a rocket science. And in some courses, not all courses, but in some courses, I was aware, even as a 20-some, I was very much aware of myself that my natural way of thinking was different. So I understood, if I want to learn this course, if I have to go to the exam and have good results, I literally felt that I had to go out of my own thinking in the thinking of the course in order to perform. And because economics is about the advantages, etc., I knew that this made me slower, so I had a disadvantage. So I was not really competitive compared
to other classmates.
I didn't feel to the classmates because university, we were with 500 in big aulas, so that was not a problem. But I was very much aware that I always
had a different mindset.
Different mindset. Yes, I think colleagues find me sometimes inspiring, but sometimes also tiring.
Tiring and inspiring at the same time. And you told me that you worked on fiscals.
Tax matters, yes.
Tax matters for a while.
Yes, there I started.
Is that not for somebody who is also think differently, a very specific area where you have to do calculations and all the hard numbers?
I think I was thinking when I graduated, I have a disadvantage because there are several courses. I think differently. And probably that was also the reason now I'm very keen on economics. I find it very interesting. But at that moment, it was not so interesting to me. And I liked law and tax law. And it's like playing chess, in my opinion. So I started with as first in audit and then as a tax manager for a group of an international group of companies. And I felt, that's why I was in the course on entrepreneurship, I felt that after 2-3 years, I was always trying to find something else. To keep myself amused and to learn something new. It was very difficult as a tax manager to stay within the tax matters.
Yeah. So you expanded. You were trying to expand yourself, learn more. After a couple of years.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how does it feel like for you? You're now studying. What is your study program in Ireland? What do you
So
study?
in Ireland, I study business management, but then coming here, I changed to international business. But they're really similar courses, to be honest. So it wasn't a big difference. It wasn't a big change. But it's been good, yeah.
Yeah. What did you learn throughout this process? You're in your third year,
I'm
I
in my
believe.
third year,
Yes.
yeah. Coming here, I've honestly learned a lot about myself. I've like learned a lot about a new culture, like about the Netherlands, and it's been really nice. I liked the change. Sometimes it's nice to have a change. I've learned a lot about myself.
And also about maybe you expanded your knowledge about different cultures, of course,
Yeah.
and also knowledge-wise. I hope you have learned a lot.
Yeah, I have, definitely, especially in entrepreneurship in our class.
Yep.
I've learned a lot about the like environment and like how important it is. So yeah.
Sustainability.
Sustainability,
Yeah.
yeah.
How to make sure that you are an entrepreneur, but at the same time,
Yeah.
creating positive impact
Exactly.
to the environment.
And that it's not just about a good idea, that you have to follow through with it and do all the appropriate steps.
Yeah.
I had same specialization, also international business.
Really.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, what a coincidence.
What a
Nice.
coincidence. So we often talk about tools when we talk about economics, business models, frameworks in sustainability. And today we mostly focus on mindset. And why is it important? Why do we need a different mindset when we shift from the linear, when we extract, make, use, and just dispose, to this circular way of working together? Why do we need to shift mindset, Ilse?
Well, in my opinion, I also like to observe, and I'm a critical thinker. So in system thinking, people are saying you have to at least 5 times ask yourself why, how, what does it mean? So I do it in a natural way. I'm always looking at the world and asking, how does it work? Why does it work? How do you have to think to do things this way? So, and when I'm in this way, that's the books, a lot of the books and the wine, then I came to the conclusion that a lot, not everything, but a lot comes back to the people, to the mindset. Because you also ask, is it the mindset, is it the structure, is it the organizations? But everything on earth that's not nature, it's created by man.
Yeah.
So, and yes, so it's created by man, but why in a certain way and not in another way? It's
Exactly.
because people have a certain way of thinking, they have convictions, they have beliefs, they have values, and are starting to create organizations,
And patterns and structures.
patterns, etc. So when you now we are in a very material paradigm. So a lot of, maybe even most of the sustainable products and services are more expensive.
Yeah.
So you can have very good intentions, but you also need the customer to buy and to pay more.
Yeah.
So you have to concentrate on the customer.
Yeah. Very good. How do you see that, Mariam?
Yeah, I actually really do agree with that. I think that anything that's more sustainable or even like healthier choices are more expensive. So it is hard to make that shift even if you really want to.
Yep. The thing is, it doesn't have to be, right? The circular and sustainable products or services don't have to be more expensive. But oftentimes when we think about recycled or refurbished materials, electronic devices or other stuff, which can be a little bit cheaper, but still people are more willing to pay for the new products. And that could be the paradigm shift or the mindset shift we need to transition to this circular way of thinking. I did buy my first refurbished cell phone a couple of years ago. It was a little bit cheaper, but similar to this same model. But again, I had to convince myself to buy it because there is a 1-year guarantee in this product. So I said, okay, I'll just do the plunge and then make my first purchase. So you also in this entrepreneurship module work on your business concept. Can you share us about your business idea you're working on?
Yeah.
Mariam?
So my business idea is called Equa Consulting, and it's basically just a consultancy agency for small and medium enterprises who want to become more sustainable and gender equal in their company, and they don't have time to focus so much on the inner when they're focusing on their own customers. So we basically come in and we analyze their workflow, their employees, and just how everything is going for them.
Yep. Help them to be more sustainable.
Yeah, more sustainable and just equal, and make sure that everything is going good on the inside of their business.
Yeah. So when we're talking about mindset change, mindset shift, do you think it's important for these companies to do that, and how can they do it? Ilse, maybe you have some suggestions.
Maybe I have a little bit of critical perspective, and in Belgium, UCLL is involved in the social circular hub, so the cooperation between circular entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs, because with refurbishing and collecting and etc. So it's easy. There is easy labor, so it's logical that the social economy and the circular economy will work together. So, and we also had some workshops. And the first workshop, I gave a 30-minute workshop on complexity and paradigms, etc. And then I had one picture of a circle representing the circular economy, but the circular economy in the bigger context of local culture, macroeconomics. And then you see close the loop, the circularity, it's going in a circle, but it's always, it has to perform in a sea with waves that are linear.
In interaction with other aspects.
Yes.
Of the society.
Yes, and also macroeconomics, for example, law on intellectual property. We have strong law on intellectual property, but what if there is some innovation which is really sustainable and circular?
Exactly.
Then you have to make
fight
sure
against law and regulations sometimes, or new law and regulations needs to be.
Exactly. Yes. And also the collaboration, because closing the loop asks for a collaboration between different entrepreneurs, but we are still in a very thick culture of competition. You see, so, and it's no excuse not to do it, but I see the relief on the faces of all the entrepreneurs when I give this picture, because sometimes maybe we put too much a burden on the shoulders of the entrepreneur, and maybe we have to look to society and government to create the environment.
More circular environment.
Yeah, instead of the linearity, always boom, going against the circle.
But how does it work? So we created this linear mindset as a society. How do we go from the linear mindset to the circular mindset in everyday decisions as an entrepreneur? How does it work?
First of all, I think we are not aware that we are very much into the linear mindset. It's like fish who don't know what water is because they are born in the water. And we don't discuss the mindset. We discuss competences, we discuss behavior, but we don't discuss the mindset. For example, I'm telling now, we are a very material world with competition, etc. We know it, but we are never asking, is it because we are so material? That sustainability doesn't work. And there are also models on paradigms, and spiral dynamics is a model I use a lot, and it gives the evolution of different paradigms. And when you know it, I can see that the old, more material is hitting a wall. It's breaking down, which is good. So maybe when things don't work well, it's good, because the old needs to die, as to say, so the new can be born. And I see a lot of examples of people wanting a more sustainable society where everybody is more equal, etc. It's not always a good, a healthy, and a mature expression, but I can see it. And I also know, because I know the model, what is the model called? Spiral dynamics. Yes, spiral dynamics. If there are show notes on this podcast, I can send you the link.
Okay.
I also wrote a blog about it. And then you see, it has been during history that paradigms are changing. So we are at the end of one paradigm and the next is already knocking on the door. And when we can enter the new paradigm, and you can accelerate it, I think, especially by talking about it, by education, etc. In this new paradigm, sustainability will be, of course,
Yeah.
you know,
So
an inventor, it will be sustainable because they see how everything is interlinked, they say the whole system.
Yeah.
And you think, why would I go against this nature
so the
laws?
first step is actually raising awareness. So people
Yes.
make people aware about like the water,
The water.
the water. And this is maybe doing this podcast is also part of like raising awareness. We're going through this paradigm shift and we're going into a new paradigm, as you said. Can you feel it that we're going to a new paradigm?
I notice that ever more people are aware that things don't work anymore as they are.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I like to quote Václav Havel, who already in 1994 said, things more and more don't work anymore. So we're at the end of an era and a new is coming in. So
In 1994.
1994 already, yes. Yeah, and when you know the model, that's the positive side, you know it's not nice when things don't work anymore because it gives chaos, it gives stress. But when you know, that's why I wrote a research on transition. I said, we have to transition, so don't be afraid.
When there's a lot of uncertainty.
A lot of uncertainty. And the uncertainty makes that people freeze, try to keep what they have.
Yeah.
And the result is a regression, and we don't want a regression. We want to go as fast. I want to go as fast as possible through it.
But not everybody wants to go as fast as possible. Some of us or some people want to hold on to the old patterns.
It's in the nature.
Yeah.
It's in the nature of man. And I thought when people have man knowledge about paradigms, etc., and what's coming in, which probably we all will like what's coming in the new paradigm, so they will freeze less and move on.
So my next question is also, why is it so difficult for organizations to let go of the old and then to go to the new paradigm? Why is it so difficult for organizations to change?
Oh, I think plenty of reasons. It's we are used in the current paradigm. It's a lot is about planning and controlling. So you have to leave the control, and it's like feeling naked, I suppose. And if you don't know what's coming, so that's why I also did research on complexity, system thinking, the new paradigm. It's all the same. There is a common thread between them. So if you learn to work with it, if you learn to recognize, and there are new tools and new competences. But if you learn the new competences, learn to work with the new tools, and you see the results, I think people will be confident. But you have to know it first. You have to get accustomed, and you have to have some positive experiences, and then it will come. And then I think there's still plenty of other reasons
why organizations don't change.
Yes.
Yeah, I just have one question. Do you think there's anything that can be done to kind of make that change easier for organizations, like maybe like offering workshops, or I don't know, just giving them some sort of motivation to kind of make the change easier?
Yeah, it's related to your business concept. Yeah. What do we need to do? How can we help them?
How can we motivate them?
Yeah, that's a nice question. It needs a brainstorm and several brainstorm, and I don't have the answer because that's what I'm thinking about for 10, 20 years already. I do it from my job as a researcher. I wrote a research on transitions, etc. I now try to translate the research on transitions to the financial and economic transition to make it more concrete. But maybe a good idea is it's a tool. It's a tool for working with complexity. Have talks with entrepreneurs, have talks with customers, so that you get to know them, what they find important, what they are scared of. They get to know you, their customers, each other. That's the only thing I see, following the process. But because it's complexity, all sustainable topics are complex. And complex, it's not linear. So with complex, I always say, bring the whole elephant in the room. And that means,
I like that.
all stakeholders.
Bring the whole elephant in the room.
Yes, all knowledge and all people involved, bring them in the room, have them talk with each other, structure it, make good notes. And when everybody and everything is in the room, you can make a next step.
Yeah.
Also very important, complex problems you can't solve. You can only make a next move in the right direction.
So when you have a complex problem, you can make a strategic planning. Can I see it like that? You have to make sure that the steps are clear so you can move to the next step. And there are models to help you make the strategic decision-making processes more clear.
Yeah, not the strategy as we know it, because a strategy as we know it today, and I think it's also it's funny, you see it also in research, is that you start and you know the result and every step in between.
Yeah, that's where
you're
the goal and where you want to go to. Yeah.
That's called today good management, because you have control. And it's not that...
I get it.
Yeah.
With transition, you don't know where you're actually going, but you have a more bigger picture, what you want to change, where you want to go, but you don't have the specific end goal in mind.
The direction, but I know that I have my preferences, but you and Mariam, you have different preferences. So we will sit on the table.
And we will discuss about it.
And we will discuss about it. And maybe you say, you might say something that I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
You see?
So I also want to discuss about, when we talk about mindset change, we have to do something that's called unlearning. We've learned a lot, the way of thinking, patterns, how we act, how we brush our teeth. So sometimes we have to unlearn stuff. Is there something you have unlearned in the last years to be able to... I see you as a change maker.
Yes.
Do you see yourself as a change maker if I call you like that?
Yeah? Okay. No problem. Yeah, I also have a different perspective on the unlearning. I think it's also from the course where I get books and wine. The next step in the exercise was, is there something that stops you from doing it, to put it into action? And that are things that stops you, that are barriers that you have to unlearn. That can be clinging to comfort, clinging to security, for example, or if you notice, I want it, but I'm too fearful, that I want to unlearn the bad habits.
The fear to be fearful.
Yeah, for example, unlearn becoming more courageous and
gracious.
Yeah, courage.
Courageous.
Yes. So somehow, how will I say, what stops you? I want to unlearn. And for the rest, it's not about unlearning, because what sustainability needs has a lot to do with systems thinking and complexity. And it's something we don't know yet. But we don't have to throw away everything we know, because the linear
we don't have
thinking,
to start from zero.
No, not from zero, but it's not something completely new, it's something extra. And we can perfectly handle simple and complicated problems with the linear thinking. So we are really very good at it. And there will always be simple and complicated problems.
Yeah.
But the problem is that now that complex problems, it's in English complicated, complex problems, we have to take a different approach. So what we need to do is make the distinction between simple and complicated and complex. And then we say, that's complex, and therefore we need other competences and another mindset. And a small thing to add, where the mindset comes from, when you're there is always change. But change within a paradigm you can solve with competences. But when you change from paradigm, it's about another mindset. Because think about the iceberg, the picture of the iceberg. You are changing the deep beliefs at the bottom.
Yeah,
of the
a lot of
iceberg.
them we're unconscious about.
We are very unconscious about them.
What does leadership play in this process?
A lot.
A lot.
In organizations, a lot. Yes, because the way we are structured at this moment with our old linear control thinking, the leader is responsible. So when the leader is fearful to
make the change,
to lose control, etc.
Yeah. What kind of leaders do we need, Ilse, in this complex
leaders who
transition
are
period?
front runners, who can very well understand the incoming paradigm and who feel comfortable. And actually it's like with the book The Fifth Discipline of Peter Senge from 1990 or 1993. There are written books even in the 1980s about this kind of leadership. But it was uncomfortable, I don't know. But I think now we need it because we are really, I think in 5 years' time, the world might be very different from now and that we will be forced to try to experiment with this new kind of leadership. But we know everything.
We know the theory, we have the models, and we just have to experiment with this new way of working together. So leaders needs to be more like...
Well, there was a nice book. Daring, yes, and there is a nice book, and the title is "Don't Just Do Something, Stand There." So a leader needs to be there, dance with the chaos. It's also a quote that it's very much
more flexible,
being more flexible, grounded. When people are uncomfortable, when people are going into resistance, stay calm.
Yeah. It's not easy to be a leader, right? If you're dealing with complex changes.
Yeah, it's true. But I have done a lot in my career, and I have also been an organizational and executive coach. So I have followed a lot of courses, read a lot of books on leadership. And again, that's leadership as it was described even in the 1950s. So maybe we are going back from management to real leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Just to add to that as well, I think people are so used to like comfort and like staying the same. But once you make that change and you realise after you've adjusted to it that it is better that way, I think that really helps. But it's hard to change, but it's better sometimes.
Yeah. Now we are forced to change, right? We cannot go on like this in this world. We create so much waste. Only like 8 to 9% of the waste we put it back into this circular system. Put back into the system, and tons of waste is sitting there with a lot of wealth within it, which we can use to create new business models and new ways of working with these so-called waste. But to be able to do this, we have to also go from centralized to decentralized ways of working. Do you see it like that? We cannot always rely on the government, right? No. So how does it look like?
How does it look like? I think, especially in Belgium, in Flanders, in the social economy sector, we see the building of ecosystems because it's social economy, they don't have a lot of money, and they are working together. So it's from being competitors to be collaborators. Yeah, and I think there are some wars going on in the world, and they are escalating. So sometimes I don't know where it's coming from, but it has a huge impact because I follow geopolitics and the closing of the Strait of Hormuz with the energy, but also fertilizers. I think everything the next years will be accelerated because there will be less fertilizers. A lot of synthetic products come from oil, crude oil, etc. So maybe it's accelerating that there is a time nearby that we have to think locally.
Yeah.
In basic needs.
Yeah. So we have to operate in more locally, produce more locally.
Yes, we also saw it with COVID that a lot of the supply chains were broken or didn't work anymore. And that I see what the social circular economy, the collaboration in Flanders, they are very aware of it. And they have already the mindset, what if, again, like in 2020, or some of them are very aware also of the consequences of the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, that's something, when I see it, I think the future is coming.
How important are relationships and trust in systemic change or systems thinking? How does it work?
I touched it already that everything is about people. So a system, except when you talk about natural systems, but all systems in society are made by people. So people with common goal, sometimes unconscious, but who have a common goal and who decide in a certain way collaborate on that goal. So actually it's all about people. Also in economics, I'm now researching economics, going back to the essence of economics. The essence of economics is about productivity and added value. And it's always a people. It are people who produce something. It are people who add value. And you can say, oh, but we have commodities in the ground. But you need people to extract the commodities. So everything in society is about people. And when you're talking about people and collaboration, you're talking about
trust.
Relationships. And for relationships, you need trust. But when you see the outgoing paradigm, as I'd call it, it was very egocentric, very much on the person. And there's a lot of corruption these days. It's also, I suppose it's also because we are outgoing, but people lost a lot of trust. And I think we do not only have to work on the relationships, because that was also something very self-centered, not so good, not so deep relationships. You have to go work on the relationships, but also on the trust. And there is a woman, Catherine Arson-Fitz, I follow her podcast, and she says the money of the future is trust.
I like that. The money of the future is trust.
Is trust.
And I also read that we underestimate the emotional and relational side of economic transformation. So that side is ignored if we talking about transition. So there is that emotional and relational side to that.
We can, the current paradigm, and it's easy when you know the paradigms, the current paradigm, and we don't know it because it's our water, it's very much about control, but they also believe that they can shape man, people, and society. But we are not logical persons.
We're not robots.
We are psychological, we are people. So we have a mechanic worldview. And we think that we can reach everything by rocket science and by laws, but it's people who is buying a certain product, a person, from the values, from the belief system. When you have a sustainable entrepreneur, why is some entrepreneur, why does he want to become sustainable? Why do you want to become a sustainable consultant?
Yeah. Why, Mariam? Why do you want to become a sustainable consultant?
I just think sustainability is a lot more important than people realize. I think it's coming so quick, like all the climate change and everything is coming so quick and people aren't really realizing it. And I just think it's important to just incorporate little things into everyone's day-to-day life to make a change.
And you want to help these organizations change, right? Make the change.
Especially small and medium enterprises who don't really realize it yet or don't have the help and the tools to make the change.
But there might have been other kinds of consultancy that are easier, because now it's not yet very easy to be profitable with a sustainable business. So that was my point. Probably you feel somewhere inside the emotional parts. That you say, I want to be part of this change. Instead of just making money or just continuing with the old stuff. So
So if we talked about being the change maker, shifting the mindset, how do you define systems thinking? Maybe that's something we can discuss a little bit about. What is systems thinking? You are part of it as a change maker, and how do you see that from that perspective?
I once had a colleague, and it was a civil engineer, and she told me the best thing I learned during my education to become a civil engineer is when you have a big problem, you cut it into pieces and you solve each piece separately, and it's resolved. And system thinking is the inverse, because you look at the interrelations between the different pieces. So you don't think when I cut it into pieces, I solve every small piece and put them together, it will work. No.
They're wicked problems. They're intertwined with each other.
Intertwined, yes. Complexity, systems thinking, it's about the wickedness, the wicked problems.
Yeah. So you cannot just take a thread and then take it out and solve that piece. You have to solve them together all at once, together with people.
When I give workshops, I show 3 minutes. Maybe it can also in the show notes, but you can also look on the internet. Cats in Borneo. It's a small story. You have to look at it, but it's Borneo, an island in Southwest Asia, I think. They had a lot of mosquitoes and they had malaria. So they called the WHO. It's a story, but it's based on real facts. So they called the WHO and they sent a DDT, probably decades ago, because DDT today it's not allowed anymore. But it killed the mosquitoes, but it also killed other
insects and animals.
Other animals, for example, there was something, I forgot the name, but that ate caterpillars. So there was an expansion of caterpillars and the roofs were coming down because the caterpillars were eating the roofs. And at a certain moment, they had no cats anymore because the cats ate lizards, geckos. And the geckos, they could eat or digest a lot of the DDT without dying. But the cats who ate the geckos, they were much more sensitive on the DDT. So, and there were no cats anymore, and then they became rats, and they were eating the grain. And the end of the story is they had to call the WHO again, because now we have
bigger problem.
Bigger problem, everything. We have a lot of problems. And that's an example of system thinking. So you try to solve one problem, and you create at least 3, 5, or 10
other problems. As we come to an end, it's such a nice conversation. I would like to continue with you, but we have to wrap up the conversation. At the end, I would like to ask you, what gives you hope at the moment when we look ahead to think about the sustainable economy and transition questions? What gives you hope? I would like to ask both of you this question. Looking ahead. You're very young, Mariam. How old are you? Can I ask?
I'm 21.
21.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, how do I say that? You still have a whole life ahead of you to make the changes. What makes you hopeful?
I think a lot of people are starting to realise that the changes need to be made. So I do think that when people learn and when they're educated on the topic, that they'll be willing to also make the change. I think they just need the right tools and the right education, and then they'll also be motivated and know that the change needs to be made.
Thank you very much. And Ilse?
I see it, as I mentioned before, I see the old dying, and I see ever more examples of the new paradigm coming in. And it's not working perfectly yet, but that's normal, because it's like a child having to learn to walk and to talk.
So don't look for perfection or strive for perfection. Just try, make the first steps.
Also, yeah. A change maker is someone who is the future. Yeah.
And finally, if you could give one piece of advice to someone trying to shift mindsets in their organizations or community, what would that be?
Knowledge about some theories and some models on wickedness, systems thinking, because there's enough knowledge as a leader, for example, of as a manager, how to make the transition with your team.
So gain knowledge.
Gain knowledge when you're hiring people. Not too much hire front runners. I call it front runners, the people who are a little bit ahead towards the next paradigm. Not too many front runners, because that can be a bit too much for the rest of the team.
Okay. So just a little change. Am I saying it correctly?
Knowledge,
small steps.
and when you're hiring, they say you have to hire a leader who is a half paradigm ahead of his team. You can hire front runners.
So we're talking about hiring leaders or managers for organizations. So we can hire front runners, but not too much.
Yes, also educate them and hiring them.
Okay. Yes. Anything else you would like to add, Mariam?
Yeah, I do agree with what was said there also, but I was going to say that I think the most important thing is kind of what you said about taking it step by step, like making small changes first so it's not a big shock all at once, and then just going from there.
For the rest of the organization.
For the rest, yeah, exactly.
Think big and take small steps.
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah, that's the perfect end to this
perfect.
podcast. Think big and take small steps. So thank you so much, Ilse and Mariam, for this conversation. I enjoyed it a lot. What really stands out in this circular transition is not only about innovation and systems, it is about how we see, think, and act together. To our listeners, we hope this episode invites you to reflect on your own mindset and how shifting the way we think might be the first step towards a circular future. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.